Okay, greetings and welcome to our delayed but finally getting going live stream. And I want to thank the patience of anyone who tuned in at 10 o'clock expecting us to start at normal time and are still waiting 41 minutes for the actual proper stream to begin. Yeah, I can only apologise and thank you for hanging around. Especially Maria Ellender, Mud Like Digging Up the Thames, who I see has to say goodnight now, but thanks for tuning in to some of the reruns. Let's see who else is in the chat. If they've all hung around, I wouldn't blame them if they hadn't. Jeff Gashead, and if I've not mentioned Maria, Midnight Scribbler, definitely thank you for tuning in. I am welcoming any suggestions for topics for us to look at this evening, or even just talk about. And although I do have one or two subjects that I do want to bring up, tonight's thumbnail, darkness. What is that a reference to? Originally, I was going to have a look at. I wanted to look at natural disasters, and while we may touch on that subject, I also. I got sidetracked whilst looking for that particular subject. Let me just do my customary sound check to make sure things are playing back okay. Yep, sounds like you can hear me and the music. I'm going to lose the cattle audio in the background. Yeah, and first of all, I'm going to catch up with the chat. In the pre-show, during the pre-show, we watched the one of my old videos about soap actors and how Maria mentions how good good Gail looks. In fact, yeah, it's incredible. Some of the actors barely age at all, and they look at more or less the same, and seem to walk around and function the same as they did 20 years ago. Very few of them have picked up any sort of disability along the way, or who knows. But yeah, you've got actors like William Roach, who plays Ken, 92 years old, I believe he is, and he's walking around on set. I mean, he does brilliant still go. Jeff Gashead, that's brilliant. I'm glad to see you're still there at least. So either something they're putting in the water of soap actors, or perhaps they've just got a lot of very good, convincing understudies, so they could bring in alternative actors without us even noticing. That is one conclusion I've sort of come to. I wonder if that is the case with soap actors. Also, a lot of died suddenly coming up in the press. Yes, a ridiculous amount. Who have we had? I saw something about a singer. Not a singer, it was a comedian earlier. I can't actually remember the name. Let's see. But yeah, the headlines have been awash with high profile deaths, I guess you could say. Obviously we had, I know what the story was. It was a comedian, and the pathologist or whoever it was that does such a thing had announced the cause of death as being heart related, and the family didn't agree with it. Then we had, in fact, I'll see if we can find that. And then we had Lily Savage, or the person who played Lily Savage. Let's see, what is this one? Who passed suddenly. Well, I don't know how suddenly it was. Perhaps some of them had been, perhaps illnesses were involved. And yeah, while we're frequently hearing of celebrities passing on, I mean, it happened. It's always happened, of course. Not at the rate, it seems, that we get these days. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, perhaps we will. Let me see. Where was that? Maria mentions the S Club 7 singer Paul O'Grady are only two. Yeah, when did the S Club 7 one happen? In fact, I'll share my screen and we can we'll have a look at that one. Right, I was going to look at this one, but it's just so vile, such a vile story, that let's say this is a legitimate story. I don't know. And any of the victims heard me calling out it's the reality of it. But then as we watched in the compilation at the very start of the stream, the truth is not popular. People will always be offended by someone calling out the conviction of David Carrick, a serial rapist. And of course, just because he was sentenced to 36 life terms, I mean, that's kind of extraordinary, isn't it? How many people ever get 36 life terms? Also, 24 counts, is that one of their numbers? We are, of course, again, ordering him to serve a minimum of 32 years. These are numbers. Every single week we look at the some of these articles, and the same numbers come up time and time again. In fact, let's bring the numerology calculator up. David is a 22 or a 16, 58 and 30. Okay, yeah, often these numbers are 22 or 32, or Carrick's are 36. How closely you want to look into numerology and say that just because you see certain numbers, it automatically calls out a story as being not real? Well, no, I don't have that view. The numbers alone don't mean anything on their own, okay? I mean, could it be that the press, they seem attracted to stories that have these numbers popping up in them all the time? What they mean, I don't actually know, but they're certainly there. In my opinion, you can't deny that one. S Club 7. Weren't they about to have a reunion? I mean, I didn't even write the word Paul, it wrote it for me. Paul Catamol. If S Club 7 are having a reunion, what incredible publicity this is. I wonder if they will mention in this article S Club 7's reunion tour that's coming up. Paul Catamol revealed he would have given up fame for his true love, as he admitted the limelight isn't the... Oh, maybe... Okay. What a beautiful statement they've found to tell us about Paul Catamol. Have we got that calculator up? Catamol. 38... 54, okay. What about S Club 7? 24, okay. The singer was found dead, aged 47, at his Dorset home on Friday, April the 7th, January, February, March, which again is another 4 and 7. These numbers are always there. Can I tell you 100% what they mean? No. However, I do believe there are people out there that speak this language. They speak in these codes. And if you know the language, you know what you know it when you see it. I, however, do not know the language. I just recognize that they're speaking in another tongue, as it were. Right. Have they mentioned S Club 7? Let's see. Okay, just before he was to embark on a much anticipated reunion tour. Of course they bring that up. They couldn't fail to. The band, just start mentioning the success of the band and how great they were. Sold more than 10 million records, and let's promote a few of their songs. Reach, Don't Stop Moving, and Never Had a Dream Come True. I wonder how this group managed to become so successful. Actually, that is a good segue to tonight's, well, one of the thumbnail images. Let's see. Oh, Maria mentioned Paul Catamol, S Club 7. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar, this musician. He's, by all accounts, not mainstream. He's, but we'll have a look at some of his earlier stuff. I have one of my early videos that I made, and probably the first one I uploaded to this channel. Let's have a look. We'll go to the video, actually. I found an old interview of this guy, Black Francis. As I said, one of my earliest videos was about hang wires on the ISS, and I said the tune by the Pixies, where this guy, Black Francis, is the lead singer of, is referencing the ISS having hang wires, but you'll have to go and watch that video for yourself. This interview, this was right at the start when the actor, sorry, not the actor, the musician got going, and I'm not going to play the music, because obviously that's a copyright strike there in of itself, but we don't need music, we don't actually need to hear what the guy's saying, because everything he does and says, he does with his hands, in the symbolism. And we will turn some, right, here we go, we'll listen to him talk. Notice he keeps messing with his hair. Is it because he's wanting to make himself look his best, because a big moment's coming up? Midnight Scribbler, Frank Black. That's of course one of the alternative names he goes by. I'm a big fan of this guy's music. I do like the Pixies and Frank Black and the Catholics and a lot of the other stuff he's done. However, this, as I say, 1989. This was right at the beginning of their career. They did okay, but I would like to think, perhaps he said, I'm not going to carry on doing this. We'll see. Just watch for yourself and see how ridiculous what we're about to see comes up.
I was at the checkout counter.
Checkout
Counter. I get a good cheap read that way,
Yeah.
you see. People magazine, the Pixies, what is it? What's going on? You're supposed to...
I will say this guy, actually, before he even utters a word, looks a lot like the guy out of, is it Soundgarden, the really tall one? No, Smashing Pumpkins. He's just reminds me a lot. He now has a bald head, the same as the guy in the Smashing Pumpkins, but he's a very similar shape and kind of, yeah, we'll let him carry on.
Supposed to be a cult underground band.
Yeah, I guess somebody must have pulled strings in the electric publicity department in New York or something. Or
They mentioned a cult underground club or band. Let me just go back 1 second.
The Pixies, what is it? What's going on? You're supposed to be a cult underground band.
Oh, they're supposed to be a cult. And when they say cult, they don't mean it as in a cult. They mean it as in, not mainstream. And that is what this guy has always kind of been sold as, the not mainstream successful musician.
yeah, I guess somebody must have pulled strings in the electric publicity department in New York or something. Or those guys have all kinds of contacts, being the big people that they are, I suppose.
But it kind of makes sense.
You'll notice in a minute, Frank starts constantly messing with his hair.
In a funny kind of way, because I've never thought of the Pixies as that far outside the mainstream.
Here we go.
Do you think of yourselves as...
He's already kind of doing it, gearing himself up, getting himself ready for a particular word that, by all accounts, he has to say. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Outside the mainstream?
We don't really analyze it like that, but I suppose when you listen to what's in top 40 anyway, then you start to think maybe you are far away from it, but it's not a deliberate kind of thing. We're certainly not unlistenable or anything like that.
Oh, we don't want audio. We don't want their music. As great as it is, I would, recommend Listen to some of their stuff. Does all different types. Right, come on. Oh, hang on, we might have missed it there.
Lack of humor in everything that I'm reading.
It's because we give really boring interviews and can never give good jokes in an interview. That's probably why you're struck by our dullness.
No,
when you
not
read
TV.
interviews.
Although we'll find out very rapidly how boring you really are. But in print, nobody talks about a sense of humor. They talk about terror and fear and the dark side.
Oh, he's about to do it. I think he might have missed his cue.
Like in reviews, especially,
Yeah.
and things like that. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why that is,
He's about to mention, I don't know,
but
see what you think.
I suppose because the song titles and things. But as far as I'm concerned, all that kind of thing is like complete staple for like sort of art or entertainment. You know?
The occult is a complete staple for art and entertainment. Interesting.
And it shouldn't be a shock to anybody. It's just the most boring thing in the world to think that, oh gosh, there's this band and they're singing about
Just rubbed his eye, of course, before he says this word.
darkness, you know.
I believe that was the whole purpose of this interview. Frank, if you want to become a successful musician, you've got to sit in front of our camera and say the word darkness and cover your eye.
To think that, oh gosh, there's this band and they're singing about darkness.
Now, okay, on its own, might not look too out of place, but when you see the frequent amount of, let's see, just doing a cursory glance for one eye symbol, celebrities, of course, that's what I meant to. Right, while we're Midnight says you used to cover the Pixies in your band. Brilliant. Which of their tracks? Hangwire? Because again, as I've said, I believe Hangwire is to do with it seems to have reference to space. Right, Images. Yeah, there's so many of them doing it, and I don't know if I used to be subscribed to him. I'm not sure if I am anymore, or whether his channel got taken down. I don't know. The YouTuber A Call for an Uprising had a massive channel, and he used to say about how these people must all be ophthalmologists or something. Sorry, what's the word? Ophthalmologists who have a fascination with eyes because they all reference one eye. And it all just seems to be, it goes right back, no doubt, the Beatles. Let's see. See if they were doing it back with the Beatles. Another one with that Frank Black, actually. I was going to look at some of his album covers. There's just two that I found. Let me see. What was it? This one. I don't know if you can see the behind the tree. Just a coincidence, perhaps, that he's covering one of his eyes. And then again on the album, which one was it? Yeah, all these, the guy does loads of one eye symbolism, but he's hang on. Well, there's another one eye symbol. The Cult of Ray is the third solo album. Again, talking about cults and one eyes. Just so happened that's what he was doing in that interview whilst talking about that subject. Is it just something Frank Black is massively into? Where's the other one? Yeah, he went as so many different artists. I'm sure it was... Hang on, we'll get there in a minute. Let's look for the most inappropriate name. Yeah, here's another one where again just seems to want to cover an eye. Strange behaviour. Anyway, Frank Black also was given a story to tell about I've seen him being interviewed where he claims he was abducted by aliens. Now, who knows, perhaps he was. But, oh, hang on. Do you know what? I never sent my tweet out because that was because I was late starting. He ended up telling a story. One of his songs was, hang on, let's go back to him once more. Let's see if we can find the album I'm thinking of. Teenager of the Year, and the actual song is something like I Believe in Space, which I never quite, never understood it to begin with. I was literally chanting in people's heads, believe in space, believe in space. Yeah. What one was that? He did. Hang on, I'm sure we could find it. I'll find the lyrics. Which one was it? Space, I Believe In. That was the name of this guy's track. I'm not going to play it, of course, but... And he also did one called Motorway to Roswell, where it's full of space programming, as it were. Good old Frank Black. Maria says it's almost obligatory to do the one-eyed symbol. I think it is, if you are... the Beatles, 666 in it. I'm sure they referenced the one eye. Of course they did. Elvis Presley, do you think he did it? Well, he certainly got a 666 in. Can't see one where he's specifically covering his eyes, but I'd be surprised if we didn't find one. Who knows what these symbols are all about. I don't think I want to speak their language. I think they can keep it. Whatever it is, it seems to be a very dark place. Right, other ridiculously successful musicians. Elton John. The other one who I think he got a state funeral. Iggy Pop. I can never remember the actual guy's proper name. Not Iggy Pop. Well, yeah, he's one. But that's not who I meant. Does he do one-eyed symbolism? Okay, not immediately seeing it on this guy, but well done, Iggy. He never covered his eye. Or if he did, I'm not finding it. Oh, who am I referring to? Ziggy Stardust, that's who I meant. Yeah, not just musicians, of course. Okay, he's got the lightning bolt going through one of his eyes. The right eye, blinded in the right eye. All, of course, relevance to biblical prophecy. Satan being beheld as a bolt of lightning being thrown to earth, and Satan being blinded in the right eye. It is certainly out there. Midnight, thank you for listing up. If you've got any videos up on YouTube, I've never actually looked at your channel, to be honest. I'm not sure if you upload much. So yeah, I'll get myself subscribed to you. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, do tell us what you played in the cover band. If not, would be good to know. Right, yes. Ziggy Stardust. As I said, I was originally going to talk tonight about natural disasters and how natural some of them may actually be. The reason I got sidetracked was, again, sorry, going back to Frank Black. St. Francis Dam. He again wrote a song about the St. Francis Dam disaster, in which there was certain, it is a telling what is by all accounts a genuine story of a dam that collapsed. And yeah, I did wonder all along, was that dam, how natural was that dam disaster? Perhaps we'll have a look. Midnight said, oh, drums, and you had 42 songs. There's that number again, Midnight. Sounds good. Well, if you want to share any links to any of the music, if it's uploaded anywhere, you're more than welcome to put it in the live chat. I'd be interested to hear it. Right, St. Francis Dam disaster. Of course, I was curious to see if any of the numbers came up in it, because that is certainly, if this wasn't, as they tell us, if this was actually a natural, well, I don't know if you call a dam collapse a natural disaster. I mean, it's natural, it's a disaster, but a dam isn't by any means natural, so I guess you wouldn't class it as a natural disaster. But yeah, there is one very kind of obscure reference to the numbers, as it were, but they certainly make a point of mentioning it. During this disaster, the story goes that this guy, Mulholland, that was his surname, was solely responsible for building this dam, and I think from it they say they learned that you never let one person build like such an be responsible for, yeah. Of course, all projects have managers though, so he was cleared of all charges. It used gravity alone. This is something they've just put into the account. 233. It's there again. I couldn't see too many other numbers other than that one that actually came up in this. 3 times that number at 320,000. That was the population of Los Angeles at the time. I see Midnight's shared a link with us. Thanks very much. We'll certainly have a look at that before we finish this evening. Yeah, just on the topic of finishing, normally I would do an intermission about 11 o'clock. I'm going to forego that tonight as we started so late, meaning I will probably wrap up around 11:30, quarter to 12. Any later than that, then I certainly would need an intermission, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, again, reservoir 32,000 acres. Right, of course not saying that a dam did not collapse, but another thing, if you search natural disasters, what do you think comes up? Yeah, what I'm curious about is how many what we're told are natural disasters are not actually natural. In the case of the St. Francis Dam, that it was an accident. Who's to say they didn't plan it all? I mean, it washed away so much land that any farming activity was, I don't know, destroyed all the farms. Right. Where are we? I'm sure on here somewhere there's a list of the, biggest natural disasters. Act of God. Civil defence. Right, where are we? Let me find something on the page. Oh, COVID doesn't come up on this one. Yeah, I saw somewhere a list of the most severe natural disasters. And, yeah, COVID-19, this was it, I think. Of course, they put... Where was it? We'll get there in a minute. These are... Huh, okay. I'm sure I'll find it on this one. COVID. There we go. Yeah, number 5 of the disease outbreaks. Obviously, they class a disease outbreak as a natural disaster, something that naturally occurred, wouldn't have happened without, had nothing to do with man. Just think of this fortunate person who, despite most hospitals being completely private and they don't let people come in and take photographs when they're working on ill people, how this guy happened to become the face of the pandemic on Wikipedia is a bit beyond me. The Black Death, who knows? Who's to say in, 50 years or so, kids will be getting taught that between 2020 and 2022 was the Black Death. And yeah, the Spanish flu, again, something that involved masks. As for this HIV, who's to say that's natural? The Plague of Justinian, not heard of that one. The first recorded major outbreak of the first plague pandemic. Huh. Again, was plague just again, doctors working on sick patients in front of cameras? I don't think that's real life. I would say every image seen like this would be staged for obvious reasons. Midnight wants to get the band back together. Well, I certainly hope you do. Right, yeah, of course, Wikipedia, the very place that will tell you that in Apollo 13 was a genuine situation where astronauts nearly lost their life. As far as Wikipedia is concerned, that is on the level. But you probably wouldn't have to look too closely at something such as Apollo 13 to see, I don't know, I'm sure they get their symbology in somewhere. Actually, I don't want to go to Wikipedia immediately. Although, yeah, I expect some of the names that came up in it are, yeah, I would actually have a look. Crew members: James A. Lovell, 3742. Oh, junior on the end. Yeah, 47. I'm sure they find their way of coding all these stories one way or another. Right. In fact, I am curious. I'm just gonna I want to open the link that Midnight sent us. Let me just hide that one, put that across 1 sec. Yeah, I do have a policy that any link will always be opened off screen, just although I totally trust, everyone that shares links. I always open them off screen, just in case it's copyright or something. I've had a few musicians who right, I'm subbed to that channel. I've just subscribed to it. Yeah, we could play it out certainly before the break. If we do have a quick break, I don't know. Yeah, I've got a few other subjects which are sort of off the subject of the first things. Yeah, where are we going to start with? Something else I've heard, the Janet Jackson effect. What do you think? I mean, maybe you've seen it for yourself, but what do you think the Janet Jackson effect is? Well, it tells you right there. 5 women over 50 give birth every week. Let's see how this, if that's what they're calling this situation, then, you know, this, as we might say, phenomenon, the Janet Jackson effect, yeah, you seriously need to question that. Midnight says there's no copyright on the video. Brilliant. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm happy to leave you guys with a couple of minutes of music if Midnight doesn't mind us playing the track. Let me just see. Hopefully it's not coming out really loud for you. I might... Yeah, it seems... Hang on. Okay, let me just do a sound check that this isn't gonna burst everybody's eardrums. 1 minute. I see, no video, in which case I would have to put something on the screen. I can't have a... Perhaps I'll leave you guys with a message if I just give myself 3 minutes just to refill my drink, and then we'll be back and we'll look at what the Janet Jackson effect is. Right, okay, let me just put a little note up a second. Back in a minute. Goodness me, so many breaks I have to take on, well, particularly on this live stream. If you do want to catch me when I'm not, when I haven't, where I don't take constant breaks, then I do a couple of streams midweek, which I'll, yeah, I'll just put a schedule up of when you can catch me live. Sundays are what I kind of refer to as total mainstream annihilation, because we're spending an hour and a half just covering anything mainstream. Bobby Z shows on Tuesdays, around Tuesdays in the AM at least. Could be 8 AM, could be 10, could be, you know, half 11, but always before midday on a Tuesday, and then on a Thursday again slightly earlier than the Sunday stream, about 8 PM I usually plan to go live. Okay. So, yeah, whilst we're here, actually, I would invite anyone before they leave tonight, if they wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up, or even do it now whilst we have our very quick intermission, if you don't think the breaks are a bit over the top, and you still think it's worthy of a thumb up, then yeah, I invite you guys to do that. And if you want to share it on social media, also massively appreciated. Right, that text is in the way a minute. While we're here, I would also like to show my thanks and appreciations to Linda Mack and Midnight Scribbler for supporting me over on Patreon. Also, Nathan Oakley and Skeptic936 have also supported this content. If you feel like doing similar, then yeah, patreon.com/BZLive is somewhere you can find my content. Right, we'll go back to the wonderful tunes of Midnight Scribbler while I just go and grab me a drink. Okay. Right, thanks for your patience. Okay, see you in a sec. Okay, welcome back, and thanks ever so much to Midnight Scribbler for sharing a link to that music we just listened to. I will also put it in the description of tonight's video in case you don't have access to the live chat. In fact, yeah, we've had some other people tune in who I'd love to think still watch. Johnny Roadster and AJ33 often shared links to their content, and it was always enjoy hearing the work of you guys. Right, okay, we'll get back to the video, back to tonight's subjects. As I said, we were going to look at the Janet Jackson effect, although... Right, let's take this text down. and we'll get back on with the stream. Okay, Janet Jackson. It is, in fact, it was another long-time viewer, Mudlark, Digging Up the Thames, who mentioned how much the press seemed to be pushing the idea that women can give birth in later life, which of course happens, but if you believe mainstream media, particularly when you take a close look at some of these women in inverted commas, you would understand why. Yeah, right. Women aged 50 and above gave birth every week in the 3 years up to 2021. As the British Fertility Society warns, IVF delays caused by lockdown has helped fuel the rise of middle-aged mothers. How many celebrities we're going to hear about now? At least 9 women over 60 and over, including 2 pensioners, had babies. Meanwhile, more than 80 over 55s gave birth. Possibly, who knows? If you guys know of any over 60s, then, or over 55s who have given birth, then I guess you can vouch for it, but I don't know any, actually. I don't think all my life I've ever known a woman that's given birth over that age, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen or cannot happen. Of course, the Holy Scriptures, who is it? Sarah gave birth at 80, I think. Yeah, Jacob's, right, is it Jacob and Sarah? Abraham and Sarah. And, yeah, God told him at the age of 90 years old, or 80 or 90 years old, she would gonna give birth to... my memory's not there at the moment. Isaac? Abraham, so I don't know. My mind's all over. Yeah. Sorry, 11:30 at night. This is why generally my streams do finish about 11:30, because I stop making sense. I lose the ability to function well enough to do a live stream. But I'll keep at it. And there's that number again, 47. Anyway, who are we talking about? Okay, some 47-year-old was, of course, desperately needed to be mentioned. Because of the pandemic, a patient may have started seeking treatment when she was 47, but is now 50. The spike in older women giving birth comes after a string of high-profile celebrities. High-profile celebrities. Do you think these are legit? Any of them have become middle-aged mothers? Doctors labelled the increase. Okay, this is Janet Jackson, by all accounts. But when you look at half of these stories, here we have supermodel Naomi Campbell, 48, via a surrogate. Of course, Naomi Campbell is used in the thumbnail of tonight's video, just because I thought that was so ridiculous. They're talking about how women are supposedly giving birth, at 48 years of old via a surrogate. Well, then they didn't give birth to the, not to say it's not their baby, but they didn't give birth to it. Right. Not that I knock the use of surrogates, but it's no surprise that someone who looks like this would need a surrogate. As Naomi Campbell, come on, let's take a close look. Let's get the measurement rulers out, the straight lines, the angles, and the head measurements, the ratios, proportions of this person against their shoulders. Clearly, judge for yourself, I would say. Is that shoulders 3 head widths, which of course indicates a female. No, sorry, a male, of course. What about any of the other celebrities we hear about? British mother Elizabeth Munro sparked controversy when she gave birth weeks before her 67th birthday after undergoing treatment in Ukraine. The divorced mother of one, now 79, said that it'll just be me and my baby. I know some people won't understand, but I don't care. What do you reckon? A high profile story involving a baby? Do you think they used... What do you think they used? I don't know. You'd have to be the judge of that one. Greetings to Skeptic936. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Skeptic tells me never to give up. No, I won't. Giving up. I have to vent. I have to get this off my chest. And I find YouTube is just a place to put it out there. That way, those around me don't have to, if they don't want to hear it, they don't have to listen to me keep on at them about, look at that tranny. Although, to be honest, yeah, I do get on the subjects. Not because of any, not because I directed a conversation in that direction, but that subject just comes up frequently, I find. But anyway, yeah, rather than rant at those around me, I give it to you guys on YouTube who want to hear it. Let's see. Yeah, looks like that's the end of that story. Do we... Yeah, talking about dolls and celebrities and their children. One story I called out as highly suspect was that of Helen Flanagan. Again, all these families that seem to exist purely on social media accounts like Instagram. Think of what we're being expected to believe. Oh, goodness sakes. This woman was so miserable and fed up that they just decided to get their camera out and take a snap. Also, taking pictures of the ITV legend who has regularly shared her children's tantrums with her Instagram followers. Looked especially fed up today. Who films their children throwing tantrums? Wow, what a cold bitch. Although, I don't think... Well, again, let's look at the Helen Flanagan Insta, I should have put. Right, let's catch up with the... Yeah, Skeptic says that's a dude. I guess you're referring to Naomi Campbell, who apparently just says has her own personal island, which doesn't surprise me. I wonder what... Yeah. Wonder what... if such... anytime you hear about celebrities and their islands, while I don't specifically believe the story of Jeffrey Epstein, maybe it is just an example where the press kind of take control of the story in the first place. Who knows? Yeah, what a joke. This person's had 3 children. Do you think that's possible? Right. Am I suggesting that here we have an advert? This woman's just sold out her kids' privacy and put them on Instagram for her 1 million followers. What kind of responsible parent does that? It's ridiculous. It's so far beyond the behaviour of genuine parents that my only conclusion is this must be fixed. It must be just an advert. It must be an advertising campaign. Meaning, again, yeah, look at those shoulders. Head to shoulder ratio. For me, if I had never heard of this Helen Flanagan, who, if you're not familiar with her, she was a soap actor, and it was one of the first times I noticed that the actual characters were the actors playing it were as much of a character as the people you see on the soaps, because this person appeared on some comedy show and was just putting on the same character they put on Coronation Street, like where she's ridiculously over the top dumb, and then I saw her on some quiz show as a contestant, and she just acted exactly the same as Rosie Webster, which was her character. Greetings to Nathan Oakley, great to see you in the chat, thanks for tuning in. Let's see. So what does that mean? Is this child running around the full ticket, you could say? Or one thing I do notice is they often speed up the camera. That, is this genuine? So I'm not saying it definitely is not. Is this genuinely a woman in a shop? Where's all the other customers? Do you ever go to a shop and have it as quiet as that? Primark. Last time I went to Primark, it was packed to the rafters. I mean, literally queuing for hours to get... Well, not hours, I'm exaggerating, but it wasn't like we're seeing in this video where she can just casually wait around for her goods to be given to her. One single customer in the shop. Two. Where is everyone? Just a blatant product placement. No way Helen wasn't paid for this appearance. Primark for kids, and that's what I mean. I can't mix the idea that someone would include their kids in such a fabrication, that what they would sell pictures from the maternity ward, which put up pictures from the maternity ward. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, just weird coincidence about this child, which we see with so many others. It was supporting its own neck at the age of, I think, 2 weeks, maybe even 2 days in the case of this child. Something that, is highly unrealistic. Like a 68-year-old woman having a baby. How likely is that to happen? Okay, not saying it couldn't. How likely is a 2-day-old baby to support its own head, or even a 2-week-old baby? Who knows? At some point they must use real people. I don't know, whatever. Or they just make sure everything's done on a set that looks like it's real life but is actually a closed set. Who knows? This person fortunate to that everything that seems to be around them seems to be like a set straight off a TV show. Anyway, let's see. Skeptic says the sky definitely not a vacuum. I cannot disagree with that statement. Right, another place we see what I believe the use of fictional children, of course, is the royal family. Where did I see one about Prince George and Prince William make a surprise trip to the Aston Villa game? I'm not ruling out the possibility that two people were at the Aston Villa game that shared a resemblance to to William and George. But why do the pictures just look so fake? Okay, they may well have been sat next to a perfectly white background. That is possible. Does happen. Just like 67-year-old women give birth. Is possible. And again, I mean, if you see the shadow, you can see it's not a perfectly white background. Who knows? I don't know. Somehow they managed to wash out the behind these people, almost as if it was almost as if I see. That's what's going on. It's a curtain next to a window. What an ideal place for them to stand. Gareth Southgate, he wouldn't involve himself in such a ridiculous charade, would he? He's the respected England manager. Who knows? They seem very disjointed. I mean, why is... Who knows? I don't know. This looks like these two people are just not recognising each other. Their eye lines aren't meeting, as you see where this boy, George's eyes... I don't know. They seem to be looking through, almost past Gareth Southgate. Almost like they'd be applauding a football match, but I don't know. Of course, that's where they supposedly were. And we'll save that one. There we go. Okay, we are starting to get to the time where we're going to wind up. Were there any things we didn't look at? We've covered it all. Sudden death with S Club 7 person. Celebrities appearing to be required to cover one eye. Who knows why? How great human excrement is as a fertilizer. We have, of course, covered that. So I think that's where we're going to start to call it a night. Yeah, of course, I started to stream particularly late tonight. The first 30 minutes of this video, or even 45 minutes or so, 40 minutes, will be trimmed off. So anyone tuning in after the first 24 hours will, they'll just see the main stream. They won't see all the reruns that we had to start with from 10 o'clock. So yeah, thanks to anyone who patiently waited for the stream to begin. And before we leave, I would like to thank Midnight Scribbler, Jeff Gashead, Mudlight Digging Up the Thames, Maria Ellender. Let's see, who else? Skeptic936 and Nathan Oakley for taking the time to say hello in the live chat. If anyone wants to hit the thumbs up button before you go, then that is always appreciated. Let me see. Right. I will also... We're going to play out with it's a short video, okay? It's only like 2 minutes long. It was something I made. I haven't published it yet, but it's just like a little advert. I'm sure some of you guys who are still tuned in with us recognise the name Brian's Logic. Really like the guy's channel. But when I watch his videos, I think this guy just needs to do just needs to learn how to use a video editor. And on the back of that, I made this actual video. It's called The Power of Editing, and I by no means mean it as disrespectful to Brian. I do like his content, and of course, the subject is always primary in making videos. Editing is secondary, but I do think it can also help get your message over. So I'm going to leave you with a short video, 2 minutes, about the power of editing. Before we go, I will also, let me just see, also invite anyone to thumb up and subscribe if you haven't already, and share. Also remind you that I am on Patreon, where I would like to thank Linda Mack and Midnight Scribbler for supporting me over there. And as the text on the bottom of the screen, also thanks Skeptic936 and Nathan Oakley for making contributions to this channel. So thank you. Yeah, and remind you, patreon.com/bzones. Okay, here is my video. What it basically is an advert for anyone that needs a freelance video editor. Bobby is available. Hang on. And as I say, absolutely no disrespect to the wonderful YouTuber. The wonderful YouTuber, Brian's Logic. The link to whose channel I will be putting in the description. Right, I'm just going to line that up a minute. Okay. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Sorry for the late start. I will be back on Tuesday for a Bobby Z show. I plan to be back, not 100% guaranteed. But yeah, I'll be back. If not then, Thursday. Just put my little message up on the screen before we wrap up. Okay. The power of editing, take it away. I'm saying goodnight and thanks for tuning in. Cheerio.
Well, how are you doing? Okay, this is going to be a short little video, but it's going to be interesting to see what the answers. Okay, this is about the Gleason's map being in opposition to the claim that we have a 24-hour Antarctic sun. I don't know if we have a 24-hour Antarctic sun. This is the Gleason's map being in opposition to the claim that we have a 24-hour Antarctic sun. I don't know if we have a 24-hour Antarctic sun. So, right, here we are. Amundsen Scott, Amundsen Scott, South Pole Station. 90 degrees south, as you can see, 90 degrees south, established 1957. NSF, the US National Science Foundation, welcomes you to. Take note of this sign. Look at the next one. Different sign. Geographic South Pole. Once again, American flag. I don't know how many signs they need around this supposed base they have, right? I mean, how many people are going there? Like, you know what I mean? So different sign in two different places. We move on. Here is another sign, right? Geographic South Pole. Roald Amundsen, Robert F. Scott. December 14, 1911. January 17, 1912. So we arrived and were able to plant our flag at Geographic South Pole. Let's move on to Gleason, right? So this is Gleason's June 21st solstice depiction, right? You can have a look at it here. Now let's read what this says. In the figures June and December, the white represents the sun's position in his respective month. At noon, this shows sunlight inside the Arctic Circle for 24 hours. From June 21st, the sun moves around the tropics in a spiral circle, widening every day till it reaches its destiny on the southern or outer solstice on December 21st. As you can see, the sun on the 21st of... I'm just going to try and match it up to that. The sun on the 21st of June covers a much bigger area. The sun on the 21st of June covers a much bigger area than on the 21st of December. It is also claimed the sun here looks smaller and this one looks slightly bigger. It is also claimed that the sun is higher in the sky on June 24th and lower in the sky on December 21st.